800 Jenny 20. Jenny Craig, please. This is Kirstie Alley. It's in regards to me being fat.
Get in shape, girl.
These days, fat is not where it's at.
Thicc, the appearance of a female with a large butt. In most cases, the woman will have a pair of large thighs and a thin waist. American culture always has something to say. Bad, sexy, baby, spicy, snack, mommy. I've never understood it, but the meaning behind these words aren't always as they seem. So growing up, I lived in a big family and we were relatively close, going to visit relatives every summer. We were a pretty tight-knit family. We started moving around and my mom got her job, my dad stayed home with us. It wasn't bad. I mean, I think I was a happy kid. I would like to say I was a happy kid. We had red velvet cake at that party. That was lit. I think my grandma made it for me. I don't remember. I don't know. As a kid, I didn't really have any ideas like what the perfect body type was. Like when I was really little. As I got older, I used to think that like really thin legs and really slender and tall, like those kind of girls. The girls are like really tall and like just a little bit tan, but not too tan. And they have their stomachs and really thin waists and small, like they were just small. And I don't know, I feel like that's what I ended up deciding what the ideal body type was when I was little.
I did a lot of like child acting and I did a lot of modeling growing up. So that definitely shaped my image of what I saw when I looked up in the mirror. Because you're growing up being told you have to stand this way or look this way or dress this way. Body shaming has become such a norm in this country. And that's what really stinks about it. Well, you're either too tall or too short, too fat or too thin, not thick enough. You know, maybe your butt's too small, your butt's too big, or you don't have the right size.
Definitely when I got into elementary school, I started thinking that I wasn't the ideal body type. Mostly because the things I saw on TV, they weren't me. Kids would make fun of me for how I looked. I was too fat, I was too short, I was too dark. Stuff like that. I think my older sister was really the ideal body type. Like she was tall, she had nice legs, a small stomach. So the whole transition from being treated horribly for how I look to being treated as an object was the most confusing time of my life. It was, I wasn't outspoken. I couldn't really speak for myself. I couldn't stand up to the people who were saying these things about me, negative or otherwise. And I think that it was hard having to realize that I don't have to cover up all the time. Because when I'd hear people talk about me, I started wearing baggy clothes. That way they stopped staring for like 5 seconds and have a conversation with me like I was a person. And the entire time, I just thought about why are they doing this? Like, I don't get why I'm an object of desire. I'm a person.
I'm Ash. I'm a senior in high school as of right now. I'm just your average trans guy. So there was this kid named Adam who was in my grade, and I remember this vividly because it kind of like messed with me for a while. During recess, he came up to me and like just took a handful of titty, like just because. He decided to like grab my tit and be like, "Oh, so are these real boobs or fat boobs?" But you see, at the time, I was a lot less outspoken than I am now, so I didn't say anything about it. I just kind of kept silent, but it really wasn't okay.
I think that speaking out is important when it comes to your own personal experiences. I feel that being quiet about it is only fueling the fire of a situation you don't want to be in. There are so many other people who go through the same thing as me, and there are so many people who are harassed and ridiculed and objectified because they look a certain way. And it's astonishing that right now our perception of beauty is only achievable through alterations in your body, like taking away pieces, adding plastic. And for anybody to have to sit there and try to meet those standards, it's intoxicating in a way that you're constantly miserable because you can never achieve what Photoshop can do for other people naturally.
I think the biggest takeaway for me about my journey in becoming more body positive has to be being fat isn't necessarily a bad thing. Fat doesn't equal negativity. Fat doesn't equal ugly. It's just a descriptor word. I'm fat. That's something that is fact. But it is opinion whether or not being fat is a bad thing or not, because you can be completely unhealthy and still be skinny. You can be completely healthy and be fat. It's just a difference in genetics, a difference in diet, etc. But yeah, it's just learning that being fat isn't a bad thing. You can be fat without being ugly, I guess.
As I got older, like even now, it's just like you take the bad and then you realize that there is still good. Like good days don't happen as often as they used to, but when they do happen, they're really good days.
There's being a woman and learning about your own body is one of the hardest things I think a woman goes through, because no one's ever satisfied, not even yourself.
It's just realizing that before you can start demanding people to stop treating you a certain way, you have to earn it. Like you have to learn to be comfortable with yourself and take those comments and be like, you're just disgusting and gross, and like my body is not something for you to gawk at. It's like me, I'm a person.
The thing I want people to know, people who are struggling with their own body positivity, their own body image, what I want them to know the most is that it's not like a completely uphill battle. You will have days where you hate your body a lot. You'll have days where you feel like trash about yourself. But just know that those days pass, and just because you feel like bad about yourself doesn't mean that that's fact. It's just kind of like your brain playing tricks on you.
Don't be gross, honestly. Like if there's one thing that I want people to really understand about my film, it's that everybody's a person. We all have skin, we all have flesh, we all have bone. If there wasn't some big brother figure whispering in your ear what people should look like, you wouldn't give two shits about what somebody looked like. If we're all stranded somewhere, we had to rebuild society, and there were no cultural standards for something, then we all have to make our own standard of beauty. And I think that if you aren't someone else's standard of beauty, you should become your own standard of beauty.
You go down first.
Don't post that. Don't you dare put that in your camera.